Balanced and inclusive education, both a declaration and the foundation for establishment of the Organization of Southern Cooperation. It is in its core a call for a new way of development in education that includes the Global South and creates an engaging and collaborative environment to develop their homegrown knowledge. OSSE, even though it has been a short period since its establishment and only been close to a year since it has based its headquarters in Addis Ababa, it has, through the guidance of its Secretary General, been able to implement various projects and platforms in the past few months alone. One such project, dubbed the OSSE Institute and Library, was inaugurated on January 29, also known as Balanced and Inclusive Education Day, with the attendance of its leadership, high-level Ethiopian officials, and diplomatic community of its member states that are based in Addis Ababa. African Renaissance Television Services was in attendance for the opening ceremony, asking the organization's Secretary General, Sheikh Mansour bin Musalem, about the institute and its overall aim.
Institute, and I think this is important to recontextualize, is being launched on the International Day of Balanced and Inclusive Education, which was proclaimed by the General Assembly, to commemorate the adoption of the Universal Declaration of Balanced and Inclusive Education 4 years ago. And we thought it was appropriate to launch the Institute on that day, not because only it is related to education, but also, and I think most importantly, because the rationale and the objectives of the Institute go to the heart of the spirit of the Declaration. And what is the spirit of this declaration? The spirit of this declaration is that of transforming not only our education systems, but our entire development models, and of course, building upon the national capacities of member states. And therefore, the OSCE Institute that we are launching has, and the library as well, has for objective, principally, to reinforce, build the capacities of our member states so that they are able or more capable to answer the imperatives of our age in terms of development, but also to be more capable as well to deliver on their national plans without the need of relying on an external organization to achieve those objectives. So really reinforce national capacities in balanced and inclusive education, endogenous technology development, transdisciplinary research and production capacities, as well as economic transformation and debt negotiations.
The flagship OSSE Institute and Library is expected to transfer knowledge to member states and associate members in topics that are at the core messaging of OSSE. The training is expected to start in the second half of 2024 with a 2-month intensive core of lectures.
Part of the rationale for the OSCE Institute is that the OSCE does not believe in what has become the general standard of 3-day workshops on an occasional basis. That does not reinforce national capacities in the long run. And therefore, the design of the model of the Institute is precisely to receive the senior officials of member states, experts of member states, including ministries of education in 2024, but other ministries as well starting from 2025, receive them here in Addis at the expense of the OSCE to provide them intensive 2-month capacity building programs so that they can go back to their home countries, not only with individually reinforced capacities, but with the capacity of reinforcing the capacities of their peers in their home ministries. And of course, as an intergovernmental organization, our focus is principally with regard to the member states, inevitably, as you can imagine. But of course, you have to inscribe this within the standing invitation of the OSCE General Assembly to all countries of the South to become members of the organization. On another note, and this is where perhaps we will be opening up to non-member states, we will be leveraging in due course technology to also provide e-learning opportunities that complement the in-person trainings. So in this regard, needless to say, this will be far more open access than the trainings in person here. But also, we are looking at reinforcing and providing courses to reinforce capacities of our non-governmental organizations in the South, our civil society organizations in the South, in terms of project management, project preparation, and so on and so forth.
In order to solve for the resource strain and limited accessibility of physical structure, OSSE has also unveiled 2 new digital platforms named Graces and GraceLearn. The platforms are in-house developed open source learning tools that are expected to provide service to institutions from Americas to Africa and Asia, or collectively known as Global South.
One with regards to technology, the other regarding access to knowledge, and the third with regards to the fact that it is natively developed in-house by our Department of Technological Innovation and Digitalization and Transport. With regard to technology, I think that we need from the South to be very clear-eyed about technology by realizing that technology is neither good nor bad. It is an instrument. What makes it good or bad is how you utilize it. And we should not, as countries of the South, jump on the bandwagon of technology for the sake of technology. Nor should we reject technology, which would be absurd and insanity, in the integration of our systems because of the way we've traditionally done things. What we need to do is realize that there is a techno-digital divide, that technology has become central to development and to our world. It surrounds us everywhere. But that often those technologies are technologies that are not contextual because they're closed source and proprietary. That means we can't adapt them, we can't build upon them, and it is designed by other countries for their contexts that don't necessarily adapt to ours. Similarly, we also need to realize that if we want to utilize technology, which we must, just strategically, we should not depend on importations of technology because these will be obsolete within 5 years. And therefore, we need to start developing our own open source technologies. So that is a matter of one of the critical mandates, actually, of the OSCE is to support member states, countries of the South, in the development of endogenous, that is regional or national technologies, harnessing the creative capacity of our youth. Then with regards to knowledge, you know, one of the great challenges that faces researchers in our countries and universities and research centers is the fact that, of course, one dimension which we have to recognize is overall, on average, research capacities within the South are not sufficiently developed, most often because of a lack of adequate investment in those capacities, and we have some programs in this. But the other 2 dimensions which GRESES, which I am certain you will accompany us at the launch and will be able to enter into greater detail about GRESES, but the other 2 dimensions that we seek to address through GRESES that is critical is the fact that research from our countries is not visible enough internationally. And the second is much of the research done in our countries are done in our languages, in Spanish, in Arabic, in various languages, which make it very difficult for other countries of the South that share similar challenges to collaborate effectively on the basis of this research because they're not able to access it because of the language barrier. And therefore, GRESES provides that free of charge, open access to all member states, their universities, their students, their research centers, to this considerable platform and database of academic articles, journals, and so on, but also endogenous knowledge, absolutely free of charge, and utilizing artificial intelligence, or LLMs, large language models, and natural language processing, by utilizing all of this, which is linked, let's call it just AI, by using artificial intelligence, are able to provide instantaneous, for all those articles, translations that have an accuracy of translation of between 90 to 95%, which does not mean it's perfect. It does not seek to replace the crucial role of human translators, but seeks to break that initial barrier of language to make our research more visible in the South, but facilitate collaboration between a Spanish-speaking researcher and a French-speaking researcher, and so on and so forth. Finally, with regard that this was designed in-house, I think it is important to mention indeed that we took the deliberate decision of developing this in-house so that we know how, so it would actually fit entirely the purpose of this design and of these projects. Second, that we know exactly how it works and there's no hidden algorithms anywhere that collect data about people, which we do not want. We want to protect privacy. To ensure that it is open source, so that when we will give free of charge access to GRESIS, to GRESLab, since it is open source, member states will also be free to build upon those platforms using the open source code, should they so decide.
Apart from the announcement of the 2 new products and the opening ceremony, the organization also held a panel discussion in collaboration with Addis Ababa University that focused on practices and perspectives of the education systems of the Global South.